What's up, friends? This is Manni and welcome to the full Deadbolt Meteor build here on the live server, as promised, with the Leonidas cannon and the four size 3 Deadbolts mounted to it as well. These things have roughly the same speed. Of course, the size 5 cannons perform much better, but still, it is a really well-working setup, though with obvious weaknesses, as you're going to see. And I promised you I will give you this video in yesterday or the day before, in the full ship review, where I look at the entire ship, all its aspects, and in full detail, even up to the point where we'll see how much cargo goes inside. If you haven't seen that yet, here. For you, the direct link in the top right corner, also link to the video description and pinned comment. Check it out, it really leaves no questions open, I think. So yeah, also it speaks about the price and makes an honest conclusion at the end. What we're doing right here is a very high risk target, which is not something that you typically do with just one medium fighter. However, this one packs so much DPS. You're gonna see in just a moment the entire stats for the ship. I'll display them to you. And by the way, if you feel like my voice sounds a little different, that's because, I don't know, I feel like I'm losing it right now a little bit. But this video has to be created, so here we go. I also meanwhile switched the Dominator, or the size 4 Raptor missiles, for the 442 missile racks into size 2 Dominators. So I'm carrying 20 size 2 Dominators, which ends up doing a lot more damage than the 4 size 4 Raptors that you have in addition to the 4 size 2 Dominators, okay? So be aware, put those in, because you're gonna max out your damage output with missiles drastically. See, I just killed an entire Cutlass Black there with just the missiles, right? That is a pretty good deal. And I haven't even used all of them. I haven't even used half of my missiles, I believe, from if I was full. And now we're firing the full Deadbolts. One really annoying thing about the the Meteor is that when you fire and you hold the button down, all your weapons will continuously fire, except the Leonidas cannon. They just stop firing after one shot. So you have to constantly hold the button down and repress it all the time, so that you basically don't run into this problem where you stop firing with the big guns, you know? So, as you see in the very large ship, very high risk targets, there's a bunch of smaller ships and a Carrack. And that Carrack really is annoying because it's carrying size 4 Rhinos, weapons with 1,800 meters projectile speed, or meters per second. That is so fast that I can barely escape or avoid that at all. And also the ship boosts towards me every single time I get in firing range, so it leaves no chance whatsoever to safely snipe it from a distance. It's impossible. 3 shots, 3 little projectiles hitting the canopy or the wings on the Meteor, and they immediately are red, instantly. They seem to have like 100 HP or something like this. Of course, it's probably an exaggeration, but they really go down very quickly, same as your canopy and your cockpit. So if you take a bunch of shots there, you're not gonna make it much longer. I can show this and prove this to you in just a moment, because we've taken a bit of direct damage before with the shields being down, but look at this now. The shields are all the way up. They're full. We've suffered a bit of damage before when the shields were down, but we're mostly okay, and the shields are holding. And take a look what's going to happen now with 80% shield charge. Boom. That's it. We just got destroyed through the shields with the tiny bit of shield bleed through damage that comes by energy weapons through my shield. That just shows that this ship has 0 hit points underneath those shields, man. Yeah, ultimately one of the reasons why I don't think a lot of people will be very interested in this ship, also because the price point does not seem to reflect the weak spots that it has. So we have the Deadbolts in with 900 meters per second, 2,600 meters range. We have an alpha of 455 per Deadbolt size 3. So that is a pretty good amount of damage. Of course, it can't compete with the Leonids cannon. But as you can see, 840 meters per second on the Leonids and 900 on the Deadbolt. This setup works really well together. It's a good well synchronized weapon setup, and it all can bypass shields. However, size 3 weapons, from what I gather, do this a little less effectively than a size 5, and also most of the enemies that we're shooting at, we're usually destroying all their shields before they go down, at least from the side that we're shooting on, right? So in that spirit, you could argue that the entire point behind ballistic weapons at this time, it doesn't really exist. There is no point for ballistic weapons other than sniping individual ship modules of capital ships, such as turrets, point defenses, weapons there, and so on, right? But if I have to buy an advantage of being able to bypass the shield with limited ammo capacity and slow projectiles in return, but in the end I end up still having to drop the entire shield before I kill the target, then the entire bonus or advantage of bypassing shields has not played into my pocket at all, right? Just something to think about, and feel free to tell me what your opinion on that is, because I remember a time when I used my ballistic corsair to drop C2s and other ships without even having to go through the shields first, in which case the ballistic weapons played out their advantage. But yeah, so now we are shortly before 7,000 DPS with the Meteor here. And we have a lot of missiles once again loaded that we can fire into that glaive over there. I don't understand what's going on with the server, because I'm firing 4 missiles. I got 4 missiles loaded, and somehow it's only firing 3, leaving 1 of them in. Then I'm charging again 4 missiles into the rack in the top left. I fire, and somehow it fires again, only 3, but 1 goes somewhere else and the other also. I feel like that missile lock-on stuff is still really wonky in the game and probably needs a lot of looking into. But yeah, so, whoa, this time they seemingly flew somewhere else too. So let's be done with the missiles. Normally they work really well. Maybe I caught a bad server or whatever. Maybe I was lagging. So only 1 shot and the glaive was destroyed after, you know, we've hammered it a bunch of times with those missiles. Again, this is where a ballistic would play a good part. If you work down an enemy with missiles and then you come in and you shoot through the shield maybe 1 or 2 hits and you finish the target, that's when the ballistic weapons have really worked their advantage for you, right? So we're now behind the enemy Carrack, and I am here in combat with a friend. So I'm no longer being like the prime focus target by every single shot of all those enemies. And now I can actually relax a little bit and fire my big 6,600 DPS from here. And that is substantial. That is more DPS, a lot more, even twice as much as the Constellation Taurus that my friend is here with, because he runs the size 5 Galderine repeaters on it, which are the lowest DPS weapon, or one of the lowest, with high projectile speed. Good for fighter defense, but not so good against larger targets. And when he has about 3,500 DPS or something like this with those weapons, maybe even less, I have 6,600 here. We're basically doubling the FPS from a medium fighter compared to a gunboat, right? One that is known to be having one of the highest firepowers in the game. Just to point that out, it's a really crazy thing. Now, we nicely destroyed the first Carrack, and there was another one. I don't know who accepted that mission, it wasn't ours, but I just wanted to gather some gameplay and some combat footage, so I was happy that they spawned here. Also, I should probably say I wanted to do more of these defend a large cargo ship missions, but it seems like those missions are like shard limited or something, because I don't seem to be getting this mission anymore. After I've made the review video in this morning and we're able to get a bunch of those missions, now I'm no longer getting them. So apparently they're like limited in their amount and how often they can be played, which is a little awkward since, I mean, we're playing a free sandbox universe. You'd think that the players can freely decide what sort of mission they want to focus on, what's most fun for them, or what's simply most doable for them and their ship park, you know, whatever they have. But yeah, so there is a limit, it seems, unless I'm mistaken, but I can't get the mission anymore, and somebody said something that there is a limit. I'm not 100% sure on that being true. So if you know something about this, feel free to let me know. So here we have a Talon Shrike or something coming in. Very nice. Very close she came, or it came. Since it's easy to hit, being relatively close to me, look at the damage in the top right. Boom, boom. That's the big Alpha Strike that we're sending out. What is it, 9,000 damage or 10,000 damage when all our weapons hit in one hit? So basically that is a really hard hitting shot when we are close enough. So if you can get the drop on somebody who does not expect to be shot by you, you can easily kill that target before it gets the chance to react. Now take a look at the top left. My shields are almost full. A missile is flying. I flared it away, but maybe the game detected a hit, I don't know, and boop, now my game just said shields offline. I never pressed O. I never pressed the O button. There's no way I could have even remotely gotten close to the button to drop my shields manually and disable them. So what I believe has happened here is that my shield generators were just destroyed through the full shielding of the ship. Also interesting, my last shot before I got destroyed actually destroyed that cutlass as well. Super funny thing, we both destroyed each other. But I should never have been destroyed in this situation because I should have had 80% of my shield strength ready to protect me. But something somehow broke through my little bit of hit points that I have on those modules and things, and seems to have broken my shield generators. That's the only explanation I got. If you know some other one, please feel free to share it with me. But yeah, I literally heard the message shields offline, and not shields damage or shields down, literally offline. So they were deactivated, they were destroyed. I don't know. And like I said, there's no way I hit O. It's not possible. So yeah, here we are right behind the Carrack doing a ton of damage, but as I notice my shields dropping from the very, very powerful size 4 rhinos shooting me down, I am accelerating away and recharging my shields. From this distance, I am actually able to dodge the shots coming out of those high fire rate Panthers, but it's still not easy. But I got the shields back to about 60% until I got the next hit, and now we're getting a little closer again. And setting ourselves up right behind that that ship, and it's focusing me down pretty well with those rhinos. It's already dropped my shields. You see 2 shots more, boom, right wing red. 2 shots more, middle canopy around cockpit area red. Another shot, left wing red. Dude, this thing is like a freaking eggshell. Seriously. So the more I play it, the less attractive this ship is to me. I did not buy it myself. I have the Imperator subscription, which also gives me access to the PTU, so I can make early information and updates for you guys. And also, it lets me fly new ships that just come into a game for 1 week. That makes it easy for me, or possible for me, to make ship reviews without having to get every single thing immediately, right? So very nice. Also, if you enjoyed this loadout gameplay here, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, stay with me. Also, don't forget about the full ship review that I've made yesterday or the other day before. It's linked in the description, pinned comment. Have fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Manni off.